So today we're going to look at that as a city manager, what are the different ways you can use ChatGPT? So we're going to look into multiple things. So city managers have a lot of strategic initiatives they have to work on from the city and the council level and also department levels. So we're going to look at 5 ways a city manager can use ChatGPT. One is for generating goals for each one of their initiatives, then deep diving into each one of those goals, working on scenario planning and risk management, stakeholder communication, and then number 5, policy recommendations. And these are just the top 5 level things you can actually do, but there are far more things you can actually use this for. So let's look at the first scenario. So generating goals. So I've written a very simple prompt that a city manager will typically use. So the prompt basically says, as I talked about before, you have to have a little bit of background, scenario or context of the prompt, and then your ask. So let's say you are the city manager at the City of Scottsdale that oversees all departments such as economic development, clerks, and fire. So one of your initiatives is to improve neighborhood safety so that the residents feel safe and secure in their homes, taking their kids to the park and other activities. Scottsdale is growing into new multicultural residents coming from different stages, new startups, and so on. So create me a list of smart goals that I should have under this initiative. Also include which department should be in charge and show relative KPIs I should measure to ensure progress and success. So this kind of gives you a quick overview, and this could be any goals or any initiative that you're working on. So this one is for neighborhood safety initiative. You can have multiple initiatives and you can kind of use the same prompt. So I'll drop this prompt into the comment section as well to get you started. So let's see what we get from here. So as you are aware, smart goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So here we go. So under the neighborhood safety initiative, so number 1 goal is reduce crime rate in residential areas by 15% in 12 months, right? So this is a very specific goal. So implement target crime prevention strategies, measurable 15% reduction in crime rate, achievable, relevant, time-bound. You want to achieve this within 12 months. Which department? Police department is in charge of this thing. The main KPIs related to this particular goal: monthly crime rate statistics, number of patrols and community policing activities, resident feedback on safety, and quarterly surveys. As you can see, it gives you a list of different goals. So increase neighborhood watch programs by 25% in 9 months, improve street lighting in 100% of the high crime areas, establish a community outreach for new residents, and so forth. And you can see it gives you a list of very specific 10 different goals you can actually have under this initiative. And you don't have to use every single one of the goals. You can pick and choose whichever one you want, right? So let's say this is the goal that we kind of like. So now let's do deep dive into each one of those goals. So this is a generic prompt that I have, right? So as a city manager, I like the goal. So let's pick one of these goals, right? So that they have that we can kind of deep dive into. So I really like the first one, reduce crime rate in residential by 12 months. So I'm going to select this and I'm going to say, okay, as a city manager, I like this particular goal. So you can pick whichever one you want, right? So it says reduce crime to this. So what specific tasks should I accomplish to achieve this goal? You can include analysis of current situation, KPIs, next steps, checking the progress, and provide the answer in a table format. That will also include which department should be in charge of the task in case task needs to be handled by different departments, right? A little bit of basic prompt to do that. So now instead of goals, we're going to the next level of getting tasks for each one of them. And as you can see, for that particular goal, which was reduce crime rate in residential areas by 15% in 12 months, ChatGPT has started giving me a little bit more clarity on which task should be involved. So first task is analyze current crime data. This is the description, department in charge, KPIs, next steps, progress check. Develop targeted crime prevention strategies, increase patrols in hotspots, strengthen. So now you have a list of all the tasks you can add under each one of those goals to accomplish those. So you have 10 goals. So each goal has 10 tasks. So you can actually have up to like 100 tasks and you can pick and choose, right? Not everything is going to be applicable for you. And this is the way you can even have a list of tasks already printed out for you for that particular goal. So number 3 is a lot of times cities and city managers have to worry about scenario planning, right? Like, hey, I'm doing these certain things. What is the risk management, different scenarios? So here's another prompt that you can actually use for that. So hey, you are the city manager, City of Scottsdale, and are planning to develop a tech hub in Scottsdale, right? What are the potential scenarios could arise during this initiative? Consider factors like economic downturns, competition for neighborhood, and so on. So now we're looking at scenario planning and risk management. So this is a third type of prompt a city manager can actually use. So let's take a look what we get from there. Right. So developing a tech hub is constantly significant, ambitious initiative. So it says various scenarios could impact the success of this project. Here are some potential scenarios to consider. One is economic downturn, competition for neighboring cities, right? Changing in state level policies, talent attraction, retention challenges, infrastructure development delays, community resistance. So as you can see, it gives you all the scenarios and risk you can potentially have for that particular initiative. And you can do this for any initiative that you want. So if you look at the first one, for example, says economic downturn. So an economic downturn could reduce investment in the tech hub, leading to slower development and fewer startups moving to investing in Scottsdale. Impact, decreased funding and lower demand for office space, reduced job creation, slower growth. How to mitigate this particular risk? Diversify funding sources, flexible development plans, support for existing businesses. So now it gives you a quick overview of what are the risks scenario that you can have. And then you can even ask a follow-up question because that's where the magic lies. You can ask more details. Yes, I like this, diversify funding resources. Can you elaborate on how can I diversify funding resources, particular one? And if you have particular resources data from your city, you can actually also input that as part of your data. And you can do this. So as you can see, it gives you a list of 8 different risk analysis that you can have, and some of them might be applicable to you, some of them might not be. So you pick and choose whichever one they are, and you can ask follow-up prompts to go more deep dive into each one of these, right? So this is a third way a city manager can use. So let's look at stakeholder communications. City managers always have to communicate what's going on in these initiatives and goals, not only to the residents, but also to the city council. So what are the different ways you can set up those communication? So this is a basic prompt. I've set it up, and I will share these prompts with you in the comments. So your city manager, Scottsdale, kind of giving it a little bit of personal context. The City of Scottsdale is launching a new affordable housing initiative aimed at providing more options for low and middle class families. So this is, you're giving it a little background. So you can have any scenario that you want to give a background on, and you want to get very specific stakeholder communication plan for that particular initiative. The initiative involves collaboration with multiple stakeholders, including city officials, local developers, community organizations. So create a stakeholder communication plan for me. Provide a written sample for each stakeholder. So I want to give them a little bit of detailed plan and also give me a sample of what that communication method looks like. So here you go. It gives me a little bit of stakeholder plan. So I say city officials, communication goals is keep informed, key messages, overview of initiative, benefits to the community, meetings, briefing. This is monthly. So it gives me a quick overview of the plan, right? Now I can look for media, residents, funding partners. Now I ask for, hey, give me some samples. So city officials, give me a sample for an email. I hope this message finds you well. I'm pleased to update you on the progress of affordable housing initiative. This initiative makes so key milestone securing funding partnership. So as you can see, it gives you a good template for the email that you can send it to city officials. Now you scroll down. This is the email you can send it to local developers. Like, dear local developer's name, please find below key details, project scope, timeline, funding, collaboration, right? Community organization. So as you can see, it gives you a really good overview and templates that you can actually use for your communication plans with the media, with the funding partners, and also provides you a quick summary. So this is a fourth way you can, as a city manager, you can use ChatGPT to get those details. So let's look at the last one, right? So last one is policy recommendations. Right? So we want to look at, hey, I'm using startup, I'm doing these certain things. What are the different policy recommendations? So let's look at the kind of follow-up on the City of Scottsdale, because I live in Scottsdale. I really love writing about it. So let's say the City of Scottsdale is considering updating its zoning policies to accommodate the rapid growth of technology startups. And we're seeing, a lot of tech companies are moving from Silicon Valley to Phoenix metro area. So this is a good problem for Scottsdale to have. As a city manager wants to ensure these policies encourage innovation and also protecting residential areas and maintaining community character. So analyze Scottsdale's current zoning policies and identify potential barriers that could discourage tech startups from establishing offices in the city. So, right, you're looking for some policy recommendations. And if you actually have existing policies, you have existing data on the policy, which I'm sure as a city manager you do, you can upload that document. So now ChatGPT has a reference point where you can pick those policies that are very specific to startups and create your plan even more specific. Like I don't have access to those, so that's why the result from here would be a little bit more generic, but let's see what we get out of it. So here we go, it says current zoning policy analysis, zoning categories and land use, commercial zones, industrial zone, residential zones. So these are typically designed for business, gives you a little bit of overview. You have mixed development, permitting and approvals, parking, transportation, right? So it gives you kind of a quick overview of what type of current zoning policies they have. Now we'll look at potential barriers for tech startups. So restrictive zoning regulations, right? So zoning categories may not be adequately support the needs of tech startups, such as flexible office spaces, co-working environments, and especially if your startup requires some sort of manufacturing facility, as we have seen a lot in Phoenix Metro. So that could have some zoning regulations. So impact is it limits the ability of startups to find suitable locations and so on. Lengthy approval processes, high parking requirements. So this is pain, right? I think that Phoenix Metro parking is still okay, coming from Silicon Valley. Finding the right parking is just too much, right? So limited mixed use of development communities, flexible building codes. And as you can see, it gives you some of these policies, potential barriers for tech startups. Now, when I scroll around, it says recommendations for these policy updates. Okay, reevaluate zoning categories, streamline permitting process. Like this is very important, especially when you're starting a company. Getting different permits, or depending on what company you have, can be pretty taxing, especially when you are doing a first-up founder and doing a startup, because you don't know what you don't know, right? So action is a simplify and expedite the permitting and approval processes for tech startups. Objective is to reduce time and costs associated with setting up new offices, right? So as a startup, this is actually really great for you. Adjust parking requirements. As you can see, this gives you a really good overview of current zoning policies analysis, then gives you potential barriers for tech startups, and then also gives you recommendations for policy updates. So as you can see, these are just 5 basic ways a city manager can use ChatGPT for enhancing their day-to-day life. And there are multiple other ways you can actually do that. And one of the simplest way you can even find, hey, how can I even use this for? You can ask ChatGPT a very generic question. Yeah, you can ask her like, hey, give me ideas on how a city manager can use ChatGPT related to managing strategic initiatives for the city. So if you don't know how, hey, which are the other places ChatGPT can be helpful, you can ask it a generic question, and ChatGPT will kind of tell you, hey, I can help you in these different places. So as you can see, it gives you, okay, ChatGPT can help you in ChatGPT can help you in strategic planning analysis, stakeholder communication. While I looked at project planning, project management. So as you can see, ChatGPT can help you in different ways. It gives you a quick list of, okay, strategic planning analysis, stakeholder engagement communication, project management, policy development. We already looked at a couple of these, crisis management response, innovation, technology integration. So it gives you like at least 10 different ways and gives you some practical examples of practical applications, developing a strategic plan, drafting a public policy strategy. So it also gives you some ideas on how you can use ChatGPT for your day-to-day tasks. So this gives you a quick overview. So if you have any questions on how, as a city manager, you can use ChatGPT, so please drop them in the comments and I'll be more than happy to answer. So thank you very much and have a great day.